Hello, my loves. Welcome into this video for the new moon in Scorpio solar eclipse. I'm so excited to get started here on this journey. First things first, if you are new, hi, welcome in. It's nice to see you. It's nice to have you here. I do have a tutorial video, how to get the most out of these readings with my tips and tricks and how to engage with this material and your spiritual support team as we receive this guidance. You can watch that video if you feel called, if it feels supportive. It's not necessary, but it is there for you if it feels good to you. For those who are not new, hello, y'all. How are you? It's good to have you back here. Thank you so much for being here. As you hopefully already know, it is a pleasure to be offering this service to you, this guidance, this self-understanding through astrology, this connecting with our spiritual support team, our inner knowing through the spiritual sacred tools of the cards. And it's an honor and a joy, and I am so lit up by this Scorpio solar eclipse, and I'm excited to jump in and talk about it. So first, let's talk about new moon energy. New moons always represent for us new beginnings. New cycles are starting. The cycle that's starting is always under the theme of the sign that it's in, and it relates to the house that this energy is happening for us. We'll get more in depth with that house energies in just a moment. So the energy that this new moon is happening in is in the sign of Scorpio. So Scorpio is a fixed sign, which means that it is an unchanging energy. It's also a water sign, which represents the emotional realm. So essentially, the Scorpion energy is fixed water, unchanging emotions. That's this energy of the Scorpion archetype. Now, the Scorpion is the totem of the Scorpio energy, and it represents this deep dive into deep knowledge, into deep knowing, that relentless search for truth, diving deep into the core of who we are, why we're here, and really understanding that on a deep, deep level. The Scorpion energy also has this energy of flying high, like an eagle or like a phoenix, because it has this transformative nature. The Scorpio season happens during All Hallows Eve, which is when the veil is the thinnest between our world and the other side, and it represents this death and rebirth energy. So if you didn't watch the readings for the solar season in Scorpio, where we dive into where Scorpio is occurring in your own chart and you learn more about how to embody that energy and we get guidance from our support team, I recommend you check out that video after these videos if that feels good and right to you. Now, let's talk about eclipse energy. So the normal lunar phase, lunar cycle is 28 days. From one new moon to another, or one full moon to the next. Eclipse energies last us for 6 months. So this is a new beginning that we're going to see unfold and experience unfolding over the course of 6 months. This eclipse is referencing the lunar eclipse when the moon was full in Scorpio 6 months earlier on May 16th. So this energy here is a culmination of 6 months prior. I did a reading for that eclipse, and I will be reviewing the information that came through from that reading at the end of the videos. So this cycle is going to go from October 25th, which is when this eclipse happens, at 6:49 in the morning, that's Eastern time. And this energy, like I said, is going to be potent for 6 months. So it's going to last until May 5th, 23, which is going to be another lunar eclipse in Scorpio. More time to focus on this energy and utilize these powerful eclipse portals to move us forward in our personal goals and in our collective goals. Now, before we dive deep into this energy, into this information that's coming through here, I want to take a moment to talk about a cycle that's much, much larger that I haven't really talked about before this moment. So we are in a cycle called the Great Year. And some of you may have heard of this through the age of Aquarius. We're moving out of the age of Pisces and we're moving into the age of Aquarius. The Great Year actually goes backwards in the zodiac. So the energy of Aquarius is humanitarian focused. So overarching all of the work that we're doing right now is this energy of supporting humanity, supporting the collective, becoming a united, collaborative species. That's the overall theme of all of this energy and all of this work that we are doing on individual levels. It's permeating out into the collective. So this Scorpio new moon solar eclipse wanted me to connect with you and show you the power of prayer. So it doesn't matter what your spiritual beliefs are. You could call this an affirmation. You could call this an intention. You could call this a prayer, a meditation. The word that you use to describe what we're going to do here in just a moment is up to you to determine. And you can work with your spiritual support team in ways that feel good and right for you. But what I was receiving was that this powerful solar eclipse is a moment for us to make a wish, to start something new. And I'm inviting all of us watching these videos to take a moment and to set aside our personal goals, our personal life, whatever's going on an individual basis, and set a prayer, set an intention for humanity with this solar eclipse. My prayer, my intention is that our entire human family wake up to the truth of our collaborative, loving, and selfless natures. This is actually something that I've been learning about scientifically. It is proven, and there is an explanation for why we as a species have been so angry, alienated, competitive, and egocentric, despite our natural desires to be cooperative, to be loving, and to act in service of the whole. So this is my intention and my prayer. I'm going to read what's called the Ho'oponopono prayer. And I invite you to say this prayer with me and hold this intention for our human collective. Again, holding the intention that we all wake up to the truth within us, to our own natures of being collaborative, cooperative, and loving towards our human family as a whole. Here's the prayer. Father, mother, child, as one, if I, my family, relatives, and ancestors have offended you, your family, your relatives, and ancestors, in thoughts, words, deeds, and actions, from the beginning of creation to the present, we ask your forgiveness. Let's cleanse, purify, release, cut all the negative memories, blocks, energies, and vibrations. Let's transmute these unwanted energies into pure light. And it is said, it is done, and set free. Thank you all for joining me in this collective intention and prayer. I don't normally do this in my videos, but I was really guided to do this. Another reason I think I'm guided to do this is because, as I mentioned, the Scorpio energy is the thinning of the veil. This is the time for us to connect to our ancestors, the ones who did all of this work to get us where we are so that we could wake up to the beautiful freedom and truth of what it is to be a human living in cooperation with other humans on this earth. This is what the age of Aquarius promises us. And each phase that we go through is helping us to move closer and closer to this reality, bringing it into form. So back to the readings. How do you know which reading is for you? Well, you are going to have two readings. You're going to first watch the interpretation for where the moon was when you were born. So if you don't know your birth chart information, this is the time for you to watch my tutorial video on how to find your birth chart information on astro.com. You go to that site, enter in your birth data. If you don't know your birth time, please don't stop there. I have a tutorial video linked in that video that'll tell you how to find your birth time so that you can access this all-powerful information of the vibration that was in play the moment you took your first breath in this life. So you're going to watch the interpretation for where the moon was when you were born, and you're also going to check in to see what house this current eclipse is happening for you. So how do you find that out? I'll explain that in the video, so if you don't know, watch that video too. But you're going to look for where Scorpio, symbolized by the M with the little pointy tail, occurs at 2 degrees exactly in 2 degrees, okay? And whatever house that's in, you're going to also watch the video for the house reading. Now, of course, you can skip through the introduction once you've watched it once, and you can skip through where it says house interpretation. Watch the card reading and then scroll ahead. Okay, I do timestamps on these videos to help you guys scroll through the information that you don't need or that is repeat, and help you to get the most out of this information and not waste any of your time. Okay? If after watching the tutorial video you have questions on how to find this information and what video is right for you, please feel free to reach out. So if you feel called to support me for this information, for this guidance, for the way that it supports you, you can do that in so many ways. You can like, you can comment, you can engage with this material, which helps get me out to more people. You can share this with anyone you think would find it interesting and valuable. And of course, you can support me in my services. I have a weekly chakra meditation service on WhatsApp. It's only $14.40 a month. You can go to devotedandvulnerable.com/services to sign up for that. I also offer chart readings on that website at that same address, so you can go there. And if you just feel called to offer me a financial contribution out of the goodness of your heart and it feels aligned to you, you can do that at paypal.me/devotedvulnerable. Link is in the description. So we are going to be getting guidance from the Angel Therapy deck by Doreen Virtue. And we are ready to dive into what our spiritual support team wants us to know about the new beginnings we are starting in the next 6 months. So this reading is for you if the moon was in Virgo when you were born, and or if this 2 degrees new moon Scorpio solar eclipse is occurring in your 6th house. If you haven't already, taken a few deep breaths, called in your spiritual support team, and opened your heart to receive the guidance that's most aligned to you at this time, I invite you to do that. Pause the video if you need more time. Let's find out what card is here for you. Oh, gosh, I love this card when it comes out. It is like, yeah. So for the next 6 months, you're going to be focusing on integrity. Align your actions so that they match your values and inner knowingness of what is right for you. Ooh, I'm getting chills. I'm getting emotional. Yes. Love this card. Okay, I'm going to get into the moon interpretation. If you're here for the house interpretation, scroll ahead to that. So if you already are familiar with the moon in Virgo energy, you can scroll ahead to the card interpretation. I'm going to give just a brief overview here of what the moon in Virgo means. So the moon represents our emotions in the astrological story, and the sign that it is in represents how our emotions express. So your emotions, my dear friend, express themselves through the Virgo energy, the Virgo archetype, which is the energy of the maiden. It is a mutable energy because it occurs at the time in a season when we're changing from one season to the next. In the northern hemisphere, that is the change from spring to fall. It is an earth energy, so it deals with the physical realm, the physicality of our existence. It's the energy of the maiden sorting through the harvest. You may find that your emotions are observant, precise, helpful, reliable, and analytical, which are all archetypes of this Virgo energy. Now let's relate this back to the integrity card. Wow. You're being advised to be precise, analytical, and observant in your emotional realm. Where are you acting out of integrity? What are your values? How do you know what is right for you? Our emotions are such a powerful guidance system for us. I recommend watching, I have a YouTube video on inner guidance, I think it's called. And it's all about how our emotions are this beautiful GPS system within us. And when we're feeling an emotion that doesn't feel good, it's because we've gone so far in thought, in deed, in action from what our inner knowingness knows to be true about a subject that it causes us pain, discomfort, disharmony. And so our emotions are a clue, a key, a signal, a sign when they're out of order, when they don't feel great, that we're thinking, we're acting in a way, there's something going on that's not aligned with what we know on the inside of our being to be true. And so the guidance is, how can we bring ourselves back to that inner knowing, to our value system? How can we align with what we believe on an inner level? This is your invitation. This is your activation during this solar eclipse phase. This is so powerful. This is the most powerful card that we've received so far for this eclipse. And I think it is, I'm just getting this vibration that it's like the pinnacle of all of the advice for this phase. How can we be in integrity with ourselves and what we know to be true and what we value? Well, first you have to be aware of when you're not in alignment, what doesn't feel good to you. Your emotions are going to guide you there, and your observant qualities are going to be asked to be focused on your emotions. A lot of times with the Virgo energy, we're always analyzing out there. The inner introspection, the inner awareness is what you're being called to right now, and aligning with what you know to be true is so very important. Having a process, a practice to communicate with your inner being on a frequent basis is going to be important for you to help you navigate this level of knowingness, to make the changes that are necessary to align with what you know to be true, with what you value. This is so very important that we as a human species right now really check ourselves, really be honest about what is it that we value? What is it that we are being invited to do from our inner souls? Not from the outside world, not from the people in our lives, not from what society has told us that we should be doing, but what does our soul want to do? This is why knowing ourselves, especially through astrology and using the spiritual tools of the card, can be so powerful and transformative for us, because it helps us to be aware of what is our true north. What do we on an individual level believe, and how can we honor that more and more? Well, your emotions are going to give you the guidance. When you feel an emotion that doesn't feel good, whether it be fear, anger, judgment, resentment, frustration, any of these energies, it's time to check in with what you're thinking about the subject, and then ask your inner being. Just sit and ask and be like, hey, can you tell me what you think about this that's different from what I think about this, so that I can relieve the dissonance that I'm experiencing here? And again, that meditation and that process that I was referring to, I think it's called inner guidance. I do a talk about it, and then I offer meditation for it. I'm inviting you into that understanding and awareness and that dialogue and practice to help support you in this for the next 6 months. Now, where in your life it's most important for you to honor your integrity and your values and your inner knowingness is going to be revealed through where this 2 degrees Scorpio solar eclipse is occurring in your chart, which house. So go ahead and watch that reading and know that in addition to the card that comes through for that, you're also adding this guidance. Until then, my beautiful moon in Virgos, namaste. The universal light within me salutes and honors that universal light within you. Namaste. All right, 6th housers. If you're already familiar with the 6th house energy, you can scroll ahead to the interpretation. We're going to just give a brief overview of the 6th house. So the house in the zodiac story represents where something is occurring. So this is where this powerful new moon solar eclipse is occurring in your chart. So this is the area of your life that you're going to be experiencing this deep dive into a new awareness, a new reality, a new experience. It's in the house of health. This can be about wellness, vitality, your pets, your service that you offer to the world, and healing energies. So I'm really feeling here that your key to health this next 6 months is going to be honoring what you know to be true about yourself. Like if you're somebody who knows that you need to make a change, but you haven't figured out a way to do that change yet, this is like, yep, it's time. New beginning here. Woo! We're done. You can even utilize the eclipse energy to set the intention that I am going to make this health change in my life. I have a knowing that it's right for me and I'm going to go for it. And ask the eclipse energy to help you. Ask your spiritual support team to help you. They're here right now being like, we're here. You have this inner knowing. It's time to move forward on it. There may also be a service that you're being called to offer. And maybe it's because you don't know how it's going to pay for your lifestyle that you haven't quite followed through on this knowing and this value system that you have in relationship to offering this service to the world. Well, guess what, my friend? New beginning time. It's time for you to dive into that new service if that's something that feels resonant for you. If you're like, oh, okay, even if you feel a little bit afraid of it, that's okay. Something new can bring up fear within us because we're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of change. But that's what Scorpio new moon solar eclipse is inviting us into. And every day you wake up and there's a new beginning and a newness to life, even if there's a predictability to it. May also be just an inner knowingness of what you need to do for your pets, what you need to do in terms of setting routines for yourself. It may be, really I'm feeling that it's just a shift in your health energy. So one way that I always tell people to make a shift that they're hesitant to make is to replace it with something that lights you up. Okay? So in the realm of health, if it's an eating habit that you're trying to navigate, then replace it with something that excites you to experience eating wise. If it's a mental practice, like replace it with something that really is enjoyable for you. Like for me, singing is something that helps me get out of my head, and it helps me to shift my energy and my vibration into a more aligned place that's less fear-based. And like whenever I notice that I'm getting into like worst case scenarios, I'm like, oh, it's time for me to go sing and express and get this out of my body. And be mindful of what it is that you're singing, because they're spells that you cast. So as you're singing something, be sure it's in a vibration of where you want to be going, not where you've been. An inner knowingness of what's right for you. That's the most important thing to do. I do have a video that I offered about a talk about inner guidance and how to listen to it, and then a process, a meditation for how to listen to this inner guidance. It dives more into this dynamic of when your emotions feel out of resonance, when you're feeling an emotion that doesn't feel great to experience. It's this theory, this philosophy that that's happening because you've walked so far away from what your inner being knows and values to be true that it's painful for you how far your thought, your action has walked away from this truth. So your emotional sphere is a beautiful guidance system that can help get you back there. When you notice your emotions in a place that are not great to experience, then it's time for you to ask that wise instinctive knowing within, okay, what do you know about this subject? What would you do in this situation? I clearly don't know because I'm feeling out of balance and out of resonance. And then you go to your inner guidance and get guidance there. Okay? This is a very important theme for you. This entire solar eclipse phase, the next 6 months, is going to be relevant for you. And now let's go into our review phase. So, 6 months ago, in May, you got the guidance, 6th house got the guidance to clear yourself, and a card relating to karma, balance, justice. So, yeah, it feels like part of clearing yourself is clearing yourself so that you can know what's true for you. A lot of times we get society's opinions and our loved ones' opinions muddled within ourselves, and we can't hear our own inner guidance. So clearing ourselves is part of that. And karma, the balance, the cause and effect energies and vibrations. You know, as you're acting on things that you value, you're going to get an effect back to you that's in alignment with what you want. But if you're acting out of harmony with your value system and your inner knowingness, you're going to receive feedback from the universe, and there's going to be an effect of that that's going to be out of resonance, and it's going to maybe slap you in the face pretty hard. So if you want to go back and review the full guidance that came through for that lunar eclipse that happened 6 months ago, you can go watch that video. It was a reading for an entire year-long phase because these eclipses are going to be happening again in 2023. So this is kind of like the midpoint of it. It's a new beginning where you have this new awareness of the integrity and listening to your inner knowing and following through on that, but also this energy of clearing yourself and the awareness of karma, cause and effect. This energy, this cycle is still in play until the next 6 months. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know how this is resonating with you. And as always, namaste. The universal light within me salutes and honors that universal light within you. Namaste.